It was a day like any other. The sun was shining, birds were singing, Thomas was tinkering in his workshop. He was a man of simple pleasures and a curious mind. Suddenly, everything went dark. When Thomas opened his eyes, he was lying on the cold, hard ground. He could smell dirt and something unfamiliar. Hay? As he slowly sat up, he noticed he was surrounded by people in strange clothing. Their bewildered faces stared back at him. He tried to speak, but his voice seemed lost in the cacophony of gasps and whispers. "Where am I?" he finally managed, but his words fell on deaf ears. They were speaking a language he didn't understand. Fear crept into Thomas's heart as he looked around. This wasn't his workshop. It wasn't even his time. He was in the past, somehow transported to the Middle Ages. The first few days were the hardest. Thomas was lost and confused. The sights, sounds, and smells of the medieval world were overwhelming. The lack of basic sanitation was appalling. And the food, oh the food. It was bland and unappetizing. He yearned for a hot shower, a comfortable bed, and a decent cup of coffee. He missed his modern conveniences more than he could have ever imagined. But he was determined to adapt. He observed the people, their customs, and their way of life. He learned to navigate this unfamiliar world, picking up bits and pieces of their language. He knew he had to blend in if he wanted to survive. He tried to explain his origins, but his words were met with suspicion and fear. They thought he was a madman, a sorcerer, or worse. He quickly learned to keep his thoughts to himself. Despite the challenges, Thomas was not one to despair. He was a man of science and reason, and he believed that knowledge was power. He knew that his future knowledge could make a difference in this time. He started small. He showed the villagers how to build a simple water pump, significantly improving their water access. He taught them about basic hygiene and sanitation, which reduced the spread of diseases. At first, the villagers were hesitant, their faces etched with distrust. But as they started seeing the benefits of his strange ways, their skepticism slowly melted away into admiration. The biggest obstacle remained the language. Thomas was eager to share his knowledge but struggled to communicate effectively. He resorted to drawings and gestures, often causing more confusion than clarity. One day, he encountered a traveling monk named Brother John. Brother John was a scholar, fluent in Latin, a language Thomas vaguely remembered from his college days. It was a bridge, a way for Thomas to finally express himself. They spent hours talking, with Brother John patiently translating Thomas's ideas into something the villagers could understand. With Brother John's help, Thomas could finally bridge the gap between his time and theirs. Section 5.